Hello, everybody. It's now been 1 year since Laraine and I started doing GLP-1s and on our GLP-1 weight loss adventure, and we wanted to take a few moments to tell you about some of the things that have happened, what we learned, what we did right, what we did wrong, and hopefully shed some light on the craziness that was our last year of life and the journey. My name is Christopher Durham.
My name is Laraine Durham, and we're the Downsized. This is a channel where we talk about all things GLP-1 related and our personal journey with compounded tirzepatide, Zepbound, and Mounjaro.
So before we jump in, let's give you a little bit of weight, because if you're looking at us going, what? Let's talk about that for a second. So give me the numbers.
I'm 5'4". I started at 193 pounds, and now I weigh 143 pounds. So that's about 50 pounds down. I'm a 55-year-old, am I 55?
You are?
55-year-old mother of three, and been married to this guy here for 21-ish years. I'm just a regular person who has been trying to lose weight pretty much my whole life.
And I'm her wife, of course. I'm 56.
You're the husband.
So how much older am I than you? Not much.
I like to say you're much older, but actually you're only 6 months older than me.
6 months older. So we've been married 21 years. I started at 285.6. I'm down to 106.5 right now. So
106.5?
Mm-hmm.
206.5?
No, I'm sorry. Yes, 206.5. Wow, that would be a lot of weight. 206.5. So I've lost a little more than 78 pounds. And we started this whole adventure with GLP-1s in September of last year, so 2023.
Correct.
We're going to talk about all of that last year now and give you some insights into the craziness that it's been. But I want Laraine, because she's been on a weight loss thing.
My whole life.
Yeah, her whole life. So give us the background. Take us back to 10, 11, 12-year-old.
Yeah, and before we start, just a disclaimer, we're not doctors. This is just our own personal journey. Make sure you check with your own healthcare provider before starting any weight loss plan. Okay, that being said, like I said, I'm 55. This weight loss journey for me started when I was a child, all the way back to the doctor telling my mother to only give me skim milk because I was too fat. My mom took me to my first weight loss place when I was 10 years old. And from there, it was just diet after diet and really trying to involve me in more exercise with the thought of, if we can get the diet and exercise going, this kid won't be so chunky. I started on Weight Watchers at age 15. I went to a Weight Watchers camp for teenagers one summer, lost a good bit of weight. I think I lost about 20 pounds. Everyone was happy, but then the weight came back, unfortunately. Then my parents tried Nutrisystem with me. I went to college, graduated from high school, probably around 220 pounds. Went to college, and the walking in college and the bad cafeteria food in college, I lost about 20 pounds in college, but I was still heavy, still around about 200 pounds. At the end of college, I started Weight Watchers again, and I took an aerobics class for credit. So I don't think I've ever told that story. So that really helped, and I was about 22 years old at the time, and I got down to my lowest adult weight of, I think I was around 145. So I was around 145, 150 in my 20s. So then I got married, I had my first son, I gained 70 pounds with him, and I couldn't really get it back off.
That was the prior husband, though.
Husband number one. After my son was born, it wasn't very long until we divorced, and that came with its own set of traumas and eating and etc. Anyway, then, and in that time I was doing a lot of diets. I've done the 17-day diet. I've done the carbohydrate addicts diet. I've done the Hollywood diet. I've done Atkins. I've done keto. I did Weight Watchers a few more times off and on through the years.
And all the crazy ones, cabbage soup diet.
Soup diet, yeah. So then Christopher and I get married, and we promptly have two more kids, and my weight just tends to build. It just builds. And after I had our third child, I went back to Weight Watchers, as I was prone to do, And I remember I weighed in at 232 pounds, and I was 5'5" at the time. So it was a good size 16, 18. I think I had some jeans that were size 20. Not where I wanted to be, not feeling good. So I started Weight Watchers again. I don't know. Long story short, I did a lot of diets in that time. I did a lot of different workouts at that time. I did walking. I started running. I trained for a half marathon with Team in Training. I ran 2 half marathons. I did 2 sprint triathlons. Eventually, with that diet and exercise, I got down to about 185 pounds. I always say my body likes to return to 185 pounds no matter how much weight I gain or lose.
So let's go back there, because I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, you started asking the doctor for some help medically.
Oh, so when I was in the midst of my really heavy duty working out, sometimes twice a day, very heavily into Weight Watchers, I got down to my lowest weight was about 170, 175. And that was like the lowest I had been in my post-child birthing life. And I asked my doctor, I was at a checkup, and I said, I've been doing all these things and I've lost a little bit of weight, and is there anything you can give me? Is there any prescription medication? This had to be like 2015. Any prescription medication you can give me? And she said, no, you just need to diet and exercise. And I was like, okay, dang, I've tried that. I had a friend who was doing a lot with my girls' school, their elementary school, and some of the teachers at that school had been losing a lot of weight. And I asked one of them, what's going on here? And she said that they had found a doctor that was prescribing them all Saxenda.
So very earlier weight loss.
Very
not fen-phen or anything,
not
but
fen-phen. And I'd heard of fen-phen.
The recent generation.
Yeah, back in the 80s, I think everybody heard of fen-phen. I don't know why I never tried. I didn't want to take anything. You know what I mean? My parents were very not anti-medication, but they weren't pro-medication either.
Right.
I heard about this Saxenda. I went to this doctor. I started on the Saxenda, and I was like, oh, it's a shot. It's a shot.
It was a daily? Am I remembering?
It was a daily shot. And I was really nervous about that. I think I did the first shot there in the doctor's office, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I'm like, well, I will try anything. If it works, I'll try anything. And I did the Saxenda for 2 or 3 months. I really don't even remember that much about it, because I remember it just didn't work that well for me. I had a little bit of success. I think it was 190 pounds at the time. Maybe I lost 10 pounds in 2 or 3 months, and I thought, this isn't worth it. It's just, I don't want to give myself these shots. I can lose 10, 20 pounds on Weight Watchers. What am I doing? So I quit doing that. And also, as we've been married, Christopher's weight had been slowly creeping up.
Let me sneak in here for a minute. To give you, at my highest weight, I was 286, I think, and gaining pretty rapidly. And I grew up and graduated from high school. I was 186 pounds, which if you look at the BMI chart would still put me overweight. I didn't consider myself overweight by any stretch of the imagination.
I've seen pictures. You look like a normal.
But I look back and think that chart would say I was fat then. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up as a big kid. I was just a regular kid. But really, the last 25 years, it's just been this struggle to not be the fat guy, and I lost, essentially. I was the fat guy. And I have a great family physician who we had been talking for a number of years, and he was going back 10 years ago. It was just diet and exercise, and then he decided plant-based was a great idea, and he would tell everybody about plant-based.
His plant-based diet.
Yeah,
kind of go,
right? And be like,
I'm not doing that.
Okay, whatever. But as some of these medications started to come online, you started to see commercials for Ozempic, and the stars were doing things. There was more conversation happening, and I was just getting bigger and bigger. My blood pressure was going through the roof, and my cholesterol was going through the roof, and there was a lot of stuff going on there. So we were continuing to have conversations. In the meantime, she's having a conversation with a less friendly doctor. Right?
I had a different doctor. Yeah, I had a female doctor. He had a different doctor, same practice.
Same practice.
Same practice. And his doctor says, why don't you try this Ozempic? And we had heard about Ozempic. I think we saw it on the news.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, weight loss medication. That sounds, sign us up. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure, why not? You can tell the story. You got a prescription for the
Yeah,
Ozempic?
so we got a prescription, and it was so expensive. And at the time, we had
over
young kids. Our kids were
$1,000.
younger, and it was just, there was no way we could financially make it happen.
Insurance wouldn't cover it.
And this was, gosh, just 3 years ago. Ozempic I don't even think it was out when I first talked to him about it. And we tried and just couldn't make it happen. And then Wegovy, the weight loss version of semaglutide came out, and we tried that, couldn't make it happen.
Just couldn't get it below $1,000. That just didn't work.
Yeah, it just didn't work. And in the meantime, what happens, Elaine?
So I had a friend, Elaine, and you can watch my interview with Elaine on the Downsized Dish on our channel. I ran into her at a party, and she looked great. And she had always been heavy since I'd known her. And she had lost a lot of weight, and I asked her what she was doing, and she said, I'm taking a medicine. And I said, what medicine? And she said, it's called Mounjaro. And I said, I've never heard of Mounjaro. I was pretty much keeping up with a lot of things happening in weight loss, and I hadn't heard about it. And I think at that time she'd lost 60 or 70 pounds. So I went back and started Googling Mounjaro, started trying to figure out what it was, would it work for me? And as I'm Googling things, as Facebook tends to do, it started serving me up ads for online telehealth providers. And I'd seen Weight Watchers had its own version of this, but you had to pay a separate membership fee for that, and the medication was separate. They had bought Sequence. And so I looked into that, but it was expensive, and I couldn't get the medication through them. So I kept looking, and I found another online healthcare provider who would sell me a 3-month supply to get started. And I think it was about $1,200 for this 3-month supply of compounded tirzepatide. And I talked to their online provider. And I went to Christopher and I said, I think I want to try these weight loss injections. Yeah. And he said,
Me too.
I think I want to do that too.
And the funny thing is, I'd been having these conversations with the doctor all along, so I didn't even have to go in because we had been doing blood work. So literally, we sent a message to him, the app, right, and said, hey, would you write me a prescription for Mounjaro? And
he was like, sure.
He just sent it in.
But it turns out that our current insurance does not cover any weight loss medications. We're self-employed. We own our own business, so we're employed. We get insurance through the marketplace. And I cannot find, I don't think it exists in North Carolina, a marketplace insurance that covers obesity treatments or medications. And even with Christopher's high blood pressure, high cholesterol, we still couldn't get it covered. We tried to get a prior authorization, and it was not going through. We decided to both go the compounded route. So we both signed up and we got started. And after you'd been on maybe a month,
the coupons came out too.
The coupon. We figured out there was a coupon out there for Mounjaro. And at the time, we could use the coupon and get it for $500 a month. And you really felt like, what did you really feel like?
I was scared, and I was in a place where I felt like I needed to take care of my family, and I didn't want to I wanted to reduce the risk and make sure I was monitored.
Yeah.
And my doctor had worked so close, so we were doing blood work every 2 months to begin.
Yeah.
He was following me really, really closely. I was doing Mounjaro. I'd started on compounded tirzepatide, and then went over to Mounjaro with him. The stuff was just working gangbusters for me. I think the first month I lost 17 pounds. It was going.
I did not lose 17 pounds.
So yeah, your mileage will vary, I assure you. Everybody's different. But it was going really well. And then when Zepbound was approved, when they released it as Zepbound for weight loss, we switched over to that. And then shortages were going crazy, so I was back on compounded tirzepatide and have a prescription for both and still do. And who knows, we have lots of videos on what it looks like moving forward, but it's just worked for us.
Yeah.
It's just worked for us. And you've been on compounded tirzepatide the whole time.
I started with one online provider, and I was with them from September through February, and then I don't know, I got annoyed with their customer service one day or lack thereof. So I started looking for a new one. I switched to Mochi. So I've been with Mochi since February of 2023. I also kept a chart of my, the weeks and the dates and the shot milligrams and my weight and my weekly weights and my losses to date, and also what was going on those weeks so I could look back and see how I did. My first month I lost 6.8. My second month I lost 5.4. My third month I lost 7.6.
So there's an entire video. I'll put a link where she walks through her entire chart and all the stuff that was going on, which is super interesting. But let's talk about beginning. So we were both open to the idea. It was expensive, but we made it work. It's expensive, it's hard, but we made it work.
Yeah.
Was it scary?
Yeah, I got these vials and these syringes, and I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know what I was thinking. I can draw my medicine out of a vial and then inject it into my body. I was like, I can't do it. So Christopher had to give me the first, 3 or 4 injections at least.
Which was also scary, I'll tell you. 'Cause
yeah.
that first little shot you do where you have to get past the initial pressure of and this is terrible, of the needle into the skin, into your wife. It's scary. It is. It's not insurmountable. You can do it.
Right.
It takes a little more pressure than you think it's going to take. But it's achievable, and you get over it, and now a year later, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, now 52 shots later, it's no big deal. I can do it myself. It's not a big deal. I think when I saw the results the first 3 months, I lost almost 20 pounds. I'd never had such a consistent weight loss like that before. And it was 1 to 2 pounds a week on average. But it was consistent. It was every week. That's what really made it different, was that my food noise was gone, my urge to eat was gone. Sometimes at the beginning, I got a little sick when I would eat too much, and it kept me from eating. I felt really sick when I had a glass of wine. I stopped drinking.
So let's talk about, when you were looking at starting it, obviously you were looking on the internet, and you can go down the rabbit hole of WebMD and Google and all this stuff. There's all kinds of horror stories and side effects and all this stuff out there.
Yeah.
Was it scary sitting there being Dr. Google? And if it was, how did you overcome that you said, I want to start this?
I've tried a lot of different things that have come with a lot of scary side effects. I don't know. I guess I didn't think the side effects were insurmountable. It seemed like the biggest side effects were nausea, vomiting, constipation, fatigue, some delayed gastric emptying. I was like, all those things are overcomable, you know what I mean? And the higher warnings, like the dire warnings, like gastroparesis. If I have that, I will stop taking it. I don't know. I didn't look at it as anything was going to do any irreversible damage.
And for me, I got to the point where, I was scared. And it wasn't that I was scared of the medication. It was that I was scared of dying.
From the obesity and the other comorbidities.
Because then I've told this, my mother died about 3 years older than I am.
Right now.
Today.
Yeah.
Of heart problems that were obesity based.
Yeah.
She dropped dead.
She was severely obese.
And I watched them wheel her out of her house. It's too much.
Yeah. It was a lot. And so obviously obesity runs in Christopher's family. It runs in my family. My mother's always struggled with it. I see my father's side of the family. They're not thin people.
They're not petite people.
My father's side is from Greece. They have a different makeup than my mom's side of the family that came from England. And so anyway, my sister and I grew up we're 14 months apart. She was always the skinny one and I was always the chunky one. We ate the same things. We did relatively the same activities.
Right.
We went to the same school. Like, we did everything pretty much the same, but she was always thin and I was always chunky. So, so Christopher wanted to get healthy, and the warnings, I guess you felt if you didn't lose weight,
It was going to be worse.
you might have something worse
there was
happen to you
no
than gastroparesis.
I mean, to me, with what I was weighing, and I could feel it. I mean, I could feel it in the blood pressure. I could feel it walking up and down steps. I could feel it on my body. It wasn't. I felt like the challenges of obesity were certain. It wasn't a if it happens. It was a when it happens.
It's more of a ticking time bomb situation.
So for me, it was life or death.
Yeah, that's pretty dire. It wasn't just, I'd really like to fit into a smaller size.
Yeah, would I like my clothes to fit better? Yeah, I do that a lot,
Yeah.
but that wasn't the impetus for me. Then we both just decided to take the shots. We both jumped in and did it. This is the first time on any of these things we've ever done this together,
Right.
right? For
I
sure.
think I had you to go to Weight Watchers with me one time, 20 years ago.
Yeah, one time, 20 years ago,
And then
and the
you
Weight
said,
Watchers
"I'm not
was
going
next
back
to a
to
donut place.
It was.
I was like,
Great marketing. Whoever thought that up.
I was next to a donut place.
yeah.
But so we started together on September of last year, and it's the best thing we ever did, I think, don't you?
Well, short of having our children. I
And
guess.
getting married, yeah. So
Right.
marriage, kids,
Tirzepatide.
GLP-1s, absolutely.
In that order. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, then let's jump into then. So let's talk about the shots and all of that. It's scary, obviously.
Yeah. It was a little.
Is there any advice you'd give
scary.
on the shots? I mean,
It's worth it. Yeah. It's a little scary. Yeah. It hurts a little tiny bit, but you can lose so much weight on these. Wouldn't that be worth it? For me, it's worth it.
Those needles are so thin you barely even feel it. At worst, there's a little spot of blood occasionally.
Yeah.
But it's really nothing to overcome. When we started those first few weeks, what was your experience with those first few weeks?
I was very tired. I was really tired. I didn't even really make notes that first month because I don't think I even thought to do that. I didn't really start taking notes till really my second month. But I just remember being really tired. And at some point, the food noise left me. And I don't really ever remember hearing the term food noise before last year. Do you?
No.
I'd never heard that term. I'd always heard food noise personally in my head, a little voice saying, what did you eat today? What are we going to eat next? How many calories have you eaten? What are we going to have for a snack? Where can we get some more food? I just finished my plate, but I'm still hungry. What do I do? I had always heard that my whole life. I had always been looking for food, more food my whole life, even as a kid, which is weird. We were a middle-class family. There was never a lack of food in our house, but I was always worried that I would not get enough to eat. I could not quiet this voice in my head. And at some point that first month, that kind of shut off. Now, I can't tell you which week it was because I didn't write it down and I don't remember, but at some point that first month, and then I heard people, as I started reading more and getting in more Facebook groups about these medications, I heard people talking about the food noise, and I'm like, yeah, I had that. Other people have that too. It was so weird for me to realize that other people also heard. I thought it was just me. I thought that was just the way it was, and I knew most people didn't think like that.
And that was my experience. I didn't know it existed, honestly, until it was gone.
No, and to not have that constant commentary running through my brain all the time, it's freeing. I know food is out there, but I'm not compelled to go get it.
It's that constant evolutionary need to survive,
Right.
to feed yourself, to make sure you have food,
Right.
to And I think that's that piece that those GLP-1s are just filling in from the signal from your gut to your brain saying,
Because I never felt full before.
you're
either.
okay. You're safe.
Yeah.
You don't have to constantly forage.
I guess I was constantly trying to keep myself alive, or some kind of weird evolutionary thing like that. Because I never felt full. Even after meals, sometimes on Thanksgiving, I remember thinking, oh, I'm really full after Thanksgiving dinner. What a weird feeling. What is this feeling of fullness that I have? Because I never really had that before. So now these GLP-1s have helped my gut tell my brain, stop eating, you're full, and it works. And I stop eating.
So what would you do
Differently,
correct?
I think when we first started, we didn't know that if the dose was working, you could stay on a dose. We got a 3-month supply, and we got a 2.5 milligram vial, we got a 5 milligram vial, and we got a 7.5 milligram vial. So we just went through the doses. And it wasn't till I was doing the 7.5s where I heard somebody say, oh, I stayed on 5 and lost all my weight, or I stayed on 7.5 and lost all my weight. Like I didn't, that wasn't something that I knew. What do you think about that?
No, absolutely. I think I probably could have hung out on 5 for a good while, and we just didn't. We didn't know any better.
I could have.
I think the only other thing I would do differently is start sooner. If I had known in a year I could be down 78 pounds, I might have paid more. Don't listen to Eli Lilly. But I mean, it's life-changing, and I didn't understand how life-changing it is.
Yeah.
Do you have any regrets?
I don't think so.
So we get those Facebook
think
messages,
so.
those emails all the time. People are worried, they're scared, they've got it in their refrigerator, and they're afraid to start. What do you tell them?
It's worth it. Just do it. Not to quote Nike, but really you just have to do it and see. And it's, unfortunately, 100% of people will not lose weight on these GLP-1 medications. There are a small percent of people who will not respond so well or at all to these GLP-1 medications. If you're wondering where you are in that, there's only one way to find out, and that's to try it. And if you can lose any weight on these medications, you're responding. It's working for you. If you've lost any weight at all on this, just keep going. My average weight loss was, I think when I was going through my weight loss months, was 1.58 pounds per week. That's not a lot.
So you're currently on maintenance,
not a lot.
right?
Yeah, kinda.
What does that mean?
That's another story. I don't know where I really want to end up to maintain. So over this past year, I shrunk from 5'5" to 5'4" and a quarter. I don't know if tirzepatide made me shrink. It didn't. I always had a target weight in my mind for someone who was 5'6", because I was 5'5" and a half in my 20s, 30s, 40s. And so that goal weight at Weight Watchers was 156. So I got to 156 and I said, I can keep going. And I got to 150 and I said, I'd really like to make it an even 50 pounds down, starting at 193. I got to 143. And then I had a consultation with my Mochi health doctor online, and he said, oh, you're 5'4"? You should probably be in the 130s for maintenance. I said, 130s? But I've gotten down as low as 141, so that wasn't unreasonable. So now I'm playing around with where can I comfortably stay? What kind of range, plus or minus 2 or 3 pounds, can I comfortably stay within? And I think it's probably going to be somewhere between 140 and 145. As long as I'm in those numbers, I think I'm feeling good.
And so I'm currently on the 15 milligram dose, and I have been on it for 10 or 11 weeks. Mm-hmm. All of the doses have worked for me. So people say, what's the best? Which one worked? I think probably 7.5 worked the most. Was it the dose, or did it just happen to be where that was in my journey? I think it's probably the latter. I don't know that the doses, I don't know. I think it's more about you than it is about the dose. But they've all worked for me. It's not, everybody wants to think there's a magic dose that's going to make them magically lose weight. And I think it's really just about consistency and doing the shot and eating better and doing what you got to do. Would you do all this again?
Oh, yeah, of course. In a skinny minute. Yeah, it's just really been life-changing. And it's been, to look back, I've struggled with this literally for my whole life. And to find something finally to find this tool that works. People ask me, aren't you going to have to stay on it your whole life? Yes, and whole life, that's a long time, hopefully. So,
And I'm here to tell you.
There's okay, friends.
The Prince quote.
Yeah, we're Gen Xers.
I can tell you, I think this medication has extended my life and made my life better incrementally, and it's been worth it. So when's the best time to start?
And the best time to start is right now, today, as soon as you can.
Yep.
If you've got it in your fridge and you've been debating on whether to get started right now, I'm telling you right now, go get it, start. So you'll want to start with a consistent day of the week. We did Fridays for a while to give ourselves the most appetite control through the weekends, because we tend to eat out on the weekends. We do eat out a lot less now
for sure.
than we used to, because we just physically can't eat that much food.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it just doesn't even seem worth it to go out and get something that's just okay and not really eat it. And even if you bring it home, you're like, oh, I could have had a better dinner at home.
Well, let's talk about that, because what adjustments have you made in your life? Because for me, the meals and the eating, and I cook. If people have watched, I cook and I enjoy cooking. The meals, the restaurants, the eating have been a huge adjustment, and it's not a negative adjustment, but it's definitely a change down to figuring out how much food to cook, what kind of food to cook, what kind of food to eat, what kind of food is going to react poorly in my body with these medications, and it's different for everybody. But it has been an adjustment. It doesn't completely outweigh the cost of the medication, but we're spending a lot less eating out.
Yeah, we're spending less eating out. Even the food, I think our grocery bill, we just shifted things around to more protein.
Yeah.
And I buy protein powder. He's not a fan of protein powder. I buy protein bars, and I'll eat one maybe for breakfast as I'm running out the door some days. But for the most part, we try to eat whole foods and mostly protein. I try to get 60 to 80, sometimes more grams of protein a day. I don't know that you really look at that so much.
No, I don't count anything.
He doesn't count anything.
I don't count anything, but I eat a lot of protein.
Yeah, no, we have focused on protein, and we've taken a lot of not all the starchy things out of our life, but we've cut back on things like not so much pasta. We don't eat as much pasta as we used to. We quit buying chips, and even in the 100-calorie bags, tried to just find other things with that crunch, so maybe nuts or something.
The adjustment has been,
granola.
We haven't banned any foods, but we've dramatically restricted a lot of them. We're not eating that many carbs. I'm still eating a potato once in a while, a piece of toast once in a while, but it's a lot less.
In the whole midst of losing all the weight, people said, what did you eat? Did you track your food? Did you eat I didn't track anything, because I had been so burned out the last 40 years of my life with Weight Watchers, having me write down every bite, lick, and taste of food, and tracking points and calculating points and weighing and measuring, and I was burned out on that. And I think a lot of people do get burned out on that with Weight Watchers, and that's when they quit doing it, and then the weight starts creeping back up. So for me, on these GLP-1 medications, I was eating just so much less that I knew I wasn't eating all my points, or I wasn't eating probably as many calories as I should have. It was substantially less. Today, a year later, I do try to see, am I eating enough? I'm usually eating enough now. And you can't out-eat this medication. Sure. This medication significantly lowers your appetite, but we went out to breakfast this morning, and I was looking at the menu, and I was like, oh, I really want those pancakes. But I know that when I eat a carb-heavy, sugar-heavy breakfast like that, I don't feel good, and I get a headache, and it just puts me in a bad mood for the rest of the day. I got eggs and sausage, and I had a biscuit, and I was fine. And it was fine. You can't out-eat it. I have made bad choices in restaurants, and
It's okay once in a while.
it's okay.
My goal from the get-go on this, because there is that concern, if you go off the medicine, are you going to gain it back? And that's, people love to throw it in your face, so you're going to gain it back. So our approach, we're not nutritionists, we're not doctors, any of that stuff, was how do we build a healthier eating habit, a healthier lifestyle that can move with these medications, because the medications are a treatment for the disease of obesity. They're not a diet. And honestly, I've always been violently opposed to diets. If you told me I had to eat cabbage soup diet, she knows I'd say, I'm not doing it. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And I don't really like
every magazine.
I don't like fake food. I don't like food pretending to be other things, powdered, ground, vegetables as pizza crusts. I don't want any of that stuff.
And I'll try it. I'll try it all. I've tried every protein powder, every protein bar, a protein drink. Sure, it'll help me lose weight. Yeah, I'll try it.
I don't have a diet mentality and never have. And I want to walk into a grocery store and buy whole foods, buy proteins, buy vegetables, and buy things that are going to help us and not drag us down, not be diet food. It's about healthy eating and tasting good. I want stuff to taste good. I'm not eating stuff that doesn't taste good. If it doesn't taste good, I'm not putting it in my mouth.
Yeah. And prior to COVID and then going through COVID, I was drinking quite a lot of wine. So I was buying maybe a couple bottles a week, 2 or 3 bottles a week. We always had wine in the house. And sometimes I would have a wine emergency and have to go out and get wine. I don't really keep wine in the house
Saved
anymore.
a lot of money on wine.
Saved a lot. Probably saved $500 a month on wine. Not really, but maybe $100 for sure.
A lot.
Because it adds up, and it's just empty calories. And now I find I do have a glass of wine here and there. I had a couple glasses of wine last night at dinner. But every time I do, I get on the scale the next day, and the scale either doesn't move or it'll go up maybe a half pound
or a lot
or
of calories.
Pound. It's just not something I want in my life every day at this point. And I couldn't really get away from it before I had these GLP-1s. I don't know if it was that addiction center in your brain that these GLP-1s work on, but it broke that need for me having a glass of wine every day at 5 o'clock. I quit even thinking about that. Maybe that was part of my food noise too, or maybe that was another addiction. People report less other things they're addicted to, like maybe online shopping decreases, or people have quit smoking, or people have, what else?
Well, so,
lots of things.
Absolutely. What happened that you didn't expect? What did you not know? So it's always the things that we don't know that are the problem. So what were they?
I got pretty constipated pretty quickly, and I don't know, I guess I've struggled with that my whole life. Like, I hadn't really thought about it much, but I have struggled with that my whole life. I remember in my 20s and 30s, like going through a phase where I wanted to eat a lot of fiber because I felt like things weren't moving right. When I started the compounded tirzepatide, and it slows down your whole digestive system, the whole gastrointestinal tract, and I wasn't going to the bathroom. And so I started searching online for remedies, and apparently this is a common problem. And I mentioned it to my online doctor, and they said, you can take Miralax. And I really I don't know, I just wasn't up for the Miralax. I found this remedy called Mag07. Someone recommended to me on a Facebook group, and I tried it. I got it on Amazon, and worked. Whenever I have a problem now, that's what I do. I also take 2 fiber gummies a day. My friend Elaine also had this problem. She recommended that to me. And I really like the fiber gummies. They have 5 grams of fiber in the 2, and it's like having a little treat. So it's fun. But that was the thing I didn't expect. And I tell people when they're starting, you might want to have something over the counter on hand for that, because you don't want to be the person that ends up not having a bowel movement in a month and ending up in a dire situation.
I tell people it's easy to swirl into the depths of all of the side effects. And if you read the Facebook groups, people will tell you about every side effect. And according to them, everybody has constipation, everybody has nausea, everybody has diarrhea, everybody has everything. The numbers don't actually say that. So if we look at the Surmount research, between 20 and 30% of people have one of the side effects or two of the side effects. So for me, it was really stay on top of it. It was if you have a problem, take care of it. Don't wait.
Yeah.
And because I didn't have constipation like she had, I had a little bit, but really mine's diarrhea. It's the other end of the spectrum. So that Mago 7 would have just sat there doing nothing for me, or it would have killed me. If I had proactively taken something for
ready.
I would not need it at all. But every couple of days, you've got to stop and ask yourself, hey, what's going on with me? Because you're eating a lot less food, things are happening in your body. Fortunately, there is a Walmart, a Target, a Amazon to deliver tomorrow, CVS, Walgreens, whatever. So most of these things you can get within moments if you drive up to the store. So you don't have to spend $1,000 to get stuff, but you do have to manage it.
Yeah, you definitely just stay on top of it. And to that end, I would tell you also to drink water. So I'm a big fan of drinking water. I get about 100 ounces of water a day. I also use electrolytes, especially when I work out and do the hard workouts like my step class or my cardio dance class. I find that electrolytes help me just keep going as opposed to when I don't use it. I don't know, and maybe that's mentally, I don't know, but I did find some that I like, the Element, and I use those.
And the only thing I take every day is a multivitamin.
I also take a multivitamin.
And you're going to be eating a lot less food. You're getting a lot less vitamins and minerals and all that. Just pick one you like. We take the Centrum adult version. I take the men for 55 plus. She takes the women's. But whatever one you like, it doesn't matter. But I would strongly recommend a multivitamin. Again, not a doctor.
And it's important to ask your doctor what supplements you may need. So, as women, we may need a whole different slew of things than a man needs. Personally, I've always been on the low side calcium and vitamin D, so I take those supplements. My doctor recommended a fish oil this past checkup to, menopause and blah, blah, blah. But ask your doctor what supplements you should be taking. Don't just take something because Susie on the Facebook page said it was a good idea.
Yeah, because you can spend a lot of money on things that are just going to make expensive pee. And you don't need to. Talk to your doctor, get blood work, make sure you're taking care of yourself. This is an ever-changing thing, and I tell people every time you take the shot, every week, it's going to be a little bit different. It just is, every dose, every week, and I think that's just in the adventure of it. None of it's ever been terrifying to me. Have you ever been truly concerned or had any real problems?
I'm really honestly trying to think. I was really afraid of the needles at first, and that was terrifying to me, but I overcame it. And there have been times when I was pretty constipated, and I was like, "Ooh, if this remedy doesn't work, I'm going to have to find something else." And usually I can find something that works. Those were my biggest things. The tiredness, I've heard a lot of people complain about. Actually, your brother mentioned that today when we talked to him. The fatigue, just the bone tired, like I just want to lay in the chair.
We had that the first couple of months.
Yeah, and I don't have that anymore. Every now and then, but I think that's just being 55
it popped back up on
life.
Me a couple of weeks ago after a shot, and I just had to take a nap. And Yeah.
I don't know.
The medicine just does its own thing.
Yeah.
So as we look at it, what advice would you give? One piece of advice. If you could only tell people one thing, what would it be?
Find a way to afford it. If you can't afford it, find a way to afford it. Find a way to get started as soon as you can.
It's worth it. I was not the diet guy.
No.
I was not to spend a lot of money on. I'm the dad who doesn't want to spend money on myself. Okay, if my kids or my wife need something, I don't want to spend money on myself. I can tell you, I feel like I can walk better, I can breathe better, I can go up and down stairs better. Just the whole life is better. There's just healthier, and I think it's good for everybody. I would say start right now. If you can do it, start right now.
Yeah, we went to a football game with our youngest daughter a couple weeks ago, and these are big ACC stadiums, so they have a lot of steps. And I could go up the steps and really was not out of breath till I got actually all the way to the top. It was maybe 100 steps.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of steps. And I couldn't have done that a year ago. I would have tried to do it and then had to stop because I've always pushed myself kind of beyond what my body really wanted to do at 185 or 200 or 220 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other piece of advice that I would give is, and we didn't do it, but I wish I had picked an outfit and just taken a before and then taken like a monthly picture in the same clothes, even if it's too big, such that you can see the progress, because the first few months, it's hard to see the process. And you don't really feel it. I would take those pics all the way along, make sure you're tracking. We use a digital scale, and people can debate over how accurate they are. It doesn't matter. But we weigh daily. You weigh what works for you. But having that traceability and being able to look back is good. Measure things. I didn't measure things. Men have a bit of an advantage there because our pants, or a disadvantage some days. Our pants come in measurements. Our shirts come in measurements. I know.
Yeah, I wish we had taken our measurements at the beginning. That's a good thing.
I know.
If you're about to start, take your measurements: bust, waist, hips, arms, thighs, neck.
I know. I had one pair of 42s in pants, so waist measurement, and these jeans that I just bought last week were 34s.
Yeah, and I went from a 12, 14 to a 4-6. So I didn't just go down. We just didn't go down a size. I went down, what is that, like 5 sizes? Yeah. So nothing I had from before fits. Like some things that never fit, and I don't know even why I held on to them. Now they fit. Like I always had that pair of jeans in the back of my closet that I bought as my gold jeans. And I've tried those jeans on 1,000 times, not been able to get them up my thighs, not to be able to get them past my butt, not be able to button them. And now I can put them on, I can button them, I can zip them. And I still don't believe it.
But so keep track, because it will be, you'll think, I've lost 40 pounds and nobody can tell. And it's one of those things where you want people to say things, but you hate it when people say things.
A lot of people get discouraged when, especially women, I don't know if men so much, but women can get especially discouraged if nobody notices their weight loss.
I did after a point. I was like, somebody should say something.
Everybody's saying things to you now, everywhere we go. But yeah, if people aren't noticing, you really just have to do it for yourself. So try on those clothes that have been too small. Take your measurements, take pictures, do side-by-side photo comparisons. You have to get it in your mind that you are now indeed smaller. And we've talked about now at a smaller size. Am I really a smaller size? Did all these clothes just really start getting made bigger? No, in the past year they haven't. And I've tried on like those jeans that I had that never fit, and now they fit. That's the only way I can really justify in my mind, because I look in the mirror and I see myself the same. But when I look at side-by-side pictures, I see it. When I try on different clothes, I see it. It's sometimes hard to see it.
Don't be afraid of pictures of yourself. Track your measurements, because you want to be able to look back and go, oh, this is what's actually happening. And some weeks the scale may not move.
Yeah.
But my pant size might go down. Some weeks your body does interesting and weird things, and you need to see it. So don't be afraid of those things. And you will have those moments, like Laraine said, where you don't see it in yourself. But we tracked our whole cruises over the last vacations we're on, and one of the ships had mirrors everywhere, and I kept coming down the steps full body mirrors and seeing this man who I thought was following me, and it turns out it was me. I didn't recognize myself.
I kept seeing a man who was following me that I didn't recognize. It was my husband. He'd come around the corner and I'd be like, oh, that's Christopher. Like it's just so completely different.
So that was year one, right? And we also started a YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, we started when?
About 6 months in, and we started in March.
So about 6 months in, we'll do another video probably when that has a year and talk about the YouTube journey as well. Because it's been exciting to see people even pay attention. We did the first video, and
I just wanted to tell people about it.
Yeah.
I was like, this stuff works, and I don't feel like a lot of people know about it, so I wanted to make these videos and talk about it, because talking about it with my group at Weight Watchers, they didn't really want
They
to
don't
hear
get
it. They didn't want to know about it. They're like, we've been counting points forever, and that's what we're going to do. And that's fine. But I wanted to get the word out to people like me who were looking for an answer that I felt like was never going to come. So it's.
And then we had 200 of our best friends on our stream the other night that all are either in the same situation as us or want to be, and they're trying to figure it out, and we're having great conversations.
And while we're talking about that, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps us get to more viewers. It helps YouTube suggest us more when people are looking for GLP-1 help. I love to help people. I love to read the comments that people leave on our videos. We answer a lot of them. Yeah, please subscribe, comment, share with your friends. That'd be great.
So 2 more questions and we'll wrap it up. Question number 1. What does the next year look like?
What does the next year look like? We have downsized ourselves. Our children have now all gone to college. It's just the 2 of us at home now, although the 2 girls are home this weekend. But it's just the 2 of us now for the most part. And I'm gonna have to figure out what I really want my maintenance weight to be and what I need to do to stay at that maintenance weight. So I think for me, it's going to be more about and continuing the things I'm doing. I still go to the gym and take exercise classes. I would like to do more weights, do more free weights, and do more machines at the gym. I don't do those very much. Some of my classes include them, but I'd like to do more of that. We travel. We have our other business where we travel and do events, and there's going to be a lot of challenges there as far as food and drink, and we've got the holidays coming up, and it'll just be a different navigation.
Yeah, and so for me, I'm about 16, 17 pounds away from my goal weight, so I want to be right at 190 or really under 200. I just don't want to constantly be bouncing up and down above 200 because it'll drive me crazy. So hopefully in the next few months we can get there. I don't know, maybe 3-4 months. We'll see. And then it's, how do I maintain it? How do we stay healthy? How do we stay active? How do we go on more cruises?
Yeah. Also a year ago, I was not in menopause. And it's weird. I wasn't in perimenopause, and I'll just talk about this real quick because people have asked, and if you've watched this far, you probably want to know. I was having irregular periods, not every month, but every couple of months. I started Mounjaro, or started compounded tirzepatide on 9/29/23. 6 weeks in, I had a period. I had another one 4 weeks later. I had another one 4 weeks later. Haven't had another one since. I haven't had another one since the week of 12/23 of 2023. And when I went for my yearly physical back in March, I mentioned to the doctor, she goes, let's check in on some blood work. And it showed that I was in full menopause. My hormone levels showed full menopause, where a year ago at that same checkup, it showed no signs of menopause at all. I don't know. I really believe that the compounded tirzepatide cleared something up, flushed something out, took away some inflammation that was keeping things around. Coincidence? I don't know. But last year at this time, I was 54 and not in menopause, which I thought was weird. Am I going to be the oldest person in America to not go through menopause? So I really think these medicines, a lot of people talk about clearing up inflammation and reducing insulin resistance, whatever that means. But I think it really did help flush some things out to that end.
So wrapping it up, because I would do this again. If you have any question, I would say if you can try this and your doctor is on board and it's medically relevant to you, you should try it. We are not doctors, but this is something that has been great for our lives, our health, our weights, and I would recommend doing it. Your thought?
I'll just keep doing it, and whatever medications I have to go to, if I have to go to semaglutide, I'll go to semaglutide. If I have to, if the prices come down on Zepbound, I'll gladly go. If the price of Zepbound, if I can get it for the same price as the compound, sure, I'll go to Zepbound. I'll jump to whatever medication I need to stay at this weight. And there's other medications coming down the pipeline. 5 years from today, we might look back on this video and say, oh, remember when this was the best thing, and now we have
whatever
X.
it is. What would your final closing thoughts be? Do it.
Just do it.
Absolutely, just do it.
Yeah.
If you are at all on the fence and your doctor's on board with you, I would definitely recommend doing it. There's nothing to be afraid of. If you haven't joined us before on the Downsized Live, it's most Thursdays at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We do it honestly every week, but occasionally it moves around. And then we also have the downsized.org, which is our website, which has an email list. You can go sign up for it. It also has a resource page where you can find Lorraine's tracker if you'd like. It's absolutely free, so feel free to download that. And there's a bunch of links to Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, the FDA, you name it on there, as well as our Amazon affiliate store. We've curated a bunch of products that mostly Laraine loves that you can purchase there, and we get a small commission on that if you'd like to use any of its vitamins and Mago 7.
Stuff I use.
A Ninja Creamy if you'd like one of those. There's all kinds of fun stuff on there. And that's what we're doing. So this has been our kind of look back on the year, our thoughts, what would we do, what would we do different. I hope you found it interesting. If you have, again, please subscribe. It definitely helps out. And we look forward to seeing you again next time. My name is Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
We are The Downsized.